Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross and I was always told I had a voice for radio, but instead I've made a video about one of the best games that you've never played. King of the Zoo for Nintendo's Game Boy. So this game first came to my attention when a German exchange student came to stay with my family when I was but a young boy. And they brought their Game Boy, and being a young boy I was not interested in anything other than video games. And on this Game Boy they had a German copy of this game, King of the Zoo, which was an interesting little kind of sports puzzle kind of game. Essentially we start off with a character select where you select one of 5 characters. And if it looks like the rat sprite is broken, it's because the rat sprite is broken. I don't know why. For some reason they didn't program the whole rat sprite. But we can move on from that. And the basic rules of King of the Zoo are very simple. It's kind of like dodgeball with animals. Each player starts with 5 balls on their side of the field, and you have to throw those balls down the table at the opposing person. Now the aim isn't to hit the person, the aim is to get all 10 balls on the other person's side of the table in one go. But if you hit the other person, or animal I should say, with the balls, then that knocks them out for a couple of seconds, giving you more opportunity to get all 10 balls onto their side of the field. And that's essentially it. There's 5 different animals, they all have their same strengths. You have the cow gets up a little bit faster, and I think the bat moves left to right just a little bit faster. If you go on too long without one person winning, then an obstacle comes up in the middle, like a weird little alien man running left to right, or something that's just some blob or something which pops up from the bottom of the table and knocks the balls back at you if they hit them. If you get all 10 balls in one go on the other side of the field, then the game is over and you win. If not, then when the timer runs out, the balls go to whichever side they're closest to, and the game is over, and whoever's got the most balls on the other side wins. And it really is as simple as that. If you play through an arcade mode, there are 5 animals, so you pick one of them, and if you beat the other 4, you win the game. At various points there is a bonus round, which is even simpler than the main game. It's just balls appear on your side of the field and you chuck them down the table. And that's it. And similarly, after a certain period of time, things pop up in the middle of the table and they can knock the balls back at you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire game. Now, it wasn't actually always called King of the Zoo. That was a name that was given to the European Game Boy release. It was actually released in 1985 as an arcade game called Penguin Wars, or a Japanese version thereof. It was then ported to the MSX back in 1985, and was also then ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System, where it looked a little bit more like this. And then it came into the Game Boy in 1990, and it was still called Penguin Wars in the US, but for some reason in Europe they changed the name to King of the Zoo, which is a much better name, because, I mean, firstly it's not a war, but secondly, there's one penguin in the game. If you select the penguin, you don't ever fight the penguin. You fight the other animals. There's no warring between penguins. It's penguin versus the rest of the animals, which I suppose could be interpreted as a penguin war, but that's not the terminology that I would use. It was playable with 2 players as long as you had 2 Game Boys, 2 copies of the game and a link cable, for anyone that remembers those. And it was generally pretty well received. The reviews of it were actually quite promising from a couple of fairly major magazines. Now, the UK magazine Total gave it 87 out of 100, calling it weird, wacky and wonderful. They said that simple ideas are always the best, and this one's as simple as Ficky. If it's fast action you're after, here it is. Mean Machines gave it a similar 79 out of 100 and called it an absurdly simple game, but as usual with absurdly simple games, it's good fun. So quite frankly, it's a good game, and if you're interested in picking up a version now, in the UK it can be picked up for around about £3, and in the US it can be picked up for around about $5, both on Amazon. So quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I would recommend giving it a little bit of a go. And essentially, for all of those reasons, that is why I think King of the Zoo is one of the best games that you've never played. If you've got any suggestions for other best games that you've never played, chuck them down in the comment section. By best game you've never played, I can't guarantee that none of you have played this game. What I mean is that I think if I go to my friends and randomly say, hey, do you remember King of the Zoo? Most of them are going to say, no, what's King of the Zoo? That's my criteria I'm going for. And make sure you like, subscribe and all of that good stuff. Find a friend, subscribe, and I'm going to be back with more video related games very shortly indeed.